Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And today's rather a sad day because it's a day after the passing of a dear friend, a friend of right from the chairman through to the board and everybody else at the Maharaja organization, the passing of a big man, Hemantha Warnakulasuriya, big in literally every sense of the word, big on legal, big in frame and big in heart. And today's program is dedicated to his memory. President's Counsel Hemantha Warnakulasuriya's remains were brought to his residence in Norris Canal Road in Colombo this afternoon. Hemantha Warnakulasuriya had an intense and deep understanding of the law and its application. His fearless and outspoken views have by now become legendary, and Mr. Warnakulasuriya had the expertise and the passion to take issues of a national interest to the very boundaries of democratic debate without fear and certainly without prejudice. Hemantha's outspoken nature, where he never hesitated to call a spade, didn't appear to augur well in his role as Sri Lanka's representative as ambassador to Italy and the Vatican. However, he served his country extremely well, and his passion for all matters legal was matched only by his passion for patriotism and his firm belief in one country, one nation, with an equitable playing field for all. Mr. Warnakulasuriya never shied away from giving his expert legal opinion on many contentious national issues, and his contribution to criminal law will be appreciated by generations of students to come as Sri Lanka prepares to face the myriad challenges ahead.
He was one of the greatest lawyers I met in the magistrate's court because he studied these facts. He studied the law. He knew what he was talking about. He didn't just jabber for nothing.
He was the Deputy President of our Bar Association in 2004-2005 period, and before that he was the chairman. He was the secretary of the Bar Association in 1989 to 1991. The legal aid chairman, chairman of the Legal Aid Foundation in 2004-2005, and thereafter he initiated Niti Niti seminar program that was very helpful to the junior members, where he went all around the country and to enhance the knowledge of our junior members. So during this Vijayadasa Liyanarachi's assassination trial, he was doing a lot of work to the Bar Association.
The President's Counsel finally appeared on the Newsline program on the 12th of March of this year.
People say, now I'm as a lawyer, I have fought for media freedom, I have fought for the removal of charges against the editors for publication of defamatory libel items. The government has become, the body government has become so powerless. The President is absolutely powerless under the 19th Amendment. He has become virtual eunuch. Because of the 19th Amendment, these people have tinkered with the Constitution,
yes,
and then have made the President powerless and the entire government powerless. Country in such economic turmoil, and especially after the bond scam, we don't have any investments coming in. No one is going to come here and invest here. People have lost the confidence, and there is no leadership. People talk of Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew had immense power. And here what did our pundits do? They said remove the powers of the President and make him impotent eunuch who cannot do anything other than just give orders.
And to celebrate the life and times and the achievements of Hemantha Warnakulasuriya, I'm joined in the studio this morning by that other very immense colossus in the legal fraternity, Mr. Gomin Faraz. Very good morning to you.
Morning Faraz. Very sad day.
A very sad day, very sad times, because they don't turn up every day, do they?
Yes, and when you say it's live from Dawson Street or live from your studios,
yes,
it's not anymore live, because the man who made it live and presented it really livelier, Warnakulasuriya, is no more with us.
Indeed.
You see the amazing guy he was. You know, he could make a non-controversial event, which was just streaming along.
Yeah.
He would come in and make an utterance that made it controversial.
Indeed.
I mean, he was a darling of the press.
Indeed.
Because if he was a person who could liven up any proceedings by his presence, because he was a big burly man, but more than that, it was the words that he uttered. He could make something sensational where there was none. And such a man was, to the media and to the public, he was such a man. But there were many sides of him. He was a politician, he was a diplomat. I know very little about him.
Indeed.
But I can speak on two aspects. His role in the media, and more so, he as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And in both, he was outstanding. He was outstanding. No, I don't know, you shouldn't have invited me. I really felt that person like Sunimal Fernando would have been far
Yes,
better.
we had difficulties in reaching him.
Yes, but he was really an admirer. He knew him inside out. I often had to criticize Warnakulasuriya, but it was a wonderful opportunity because he used to take it so well.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no arrogance in the man.
Yeah.
He learned. I mean, he learned while in the media. And I think it's the only thing that I feel very much. In time to come, media and the lawyers will have much to do together, because in time to come, media needs protection, and lawyers themselves need the media to express themselves. And I hope that some organization like the Bar Association, where he was both president and secretary, will start some outfit which brings the lawyers and the press together, media together, so that they can collaborate and go together in the future. It will need some organization to get the whole thing cracking, and I would think that's something that the Bar Association can well do.
But something on the lines of a sort of Warnakulasuriya Foundation for the betterment of
democracy.
Democracy,
Because
legal perspective.
Because you see, he was an amazing guy. I mean, I did not know for a very, very long time, or till only recently, that he was the father-in-law of Buddhika Pathirana. I don't know Buddhika Pathirana at all, but I have secretly admired him because he's a boy with guts who can go against the leadership and still maintain the position in the party, because he comes right on top with the people in Mathura. Now, what I admire is neither Warnakulasuriya, his father-in-law, or Buddhika, the son-in-law, ever lived on each other's glory. They set their own paths, they tread their own lines, and they followed it. They didn't rely on each other, but I think each other would have been a very good inspiration. They would have learned a lot by each other, but they never used each other for their betterment.
Indeed. And Hemantha was the ultimate patriot. He was a patriotic man, and he was very proud.
He was a very proud man, but he could take criticism, he could understand where he's going wrong, because I remember very well, in some of my juniors to say, "Sir, doesn't he say more intriguing things on television? Isn't it embarrassing?" I said, "No, it's never embarrassing to me," but I did mention it to Hemantha, and Hemantha said, "I must be a little cautious. I think I overdo it." So he was a very balanced, level-headed man.
Yeah.
And such people today, it's very difficult to find today it's very difficult to get even people to come to the media to speak, because they're so scared. They live in an area of fear, and that is something I think Hemantha never understood. Now remember, Hemantha had a background of law. I remember when he came into practice, there was another great big beefy burly man called Mahesan. He was running the show.
Right.
I think his successor was Hemantha, and Hemantha was a similar man. I mean, everybody else around him were dwarfs. Even the whole bar was dwarfs compared to Hemantha. Hemantha used to stride in. Hemantha used to, you see, amazing thing is, he was not one of these big lawyers who talked, still bigger. He had studied his facts. He knew his law very well. He combined the two and presented in a most lucid way and most so effective way that even if he was undoubtedly the greatest lawyer I know in the magistrates court. Now I would say there are great lawyers in the magistrate Supreme Court, great lawyers in the original courts like district court, but in the magistrate court I would rate him as the very best. And it is to him I went when one of my juniors, I had 3 juniors at that time. One was W. Karunajiva, who was later the chairman of the People's Bank. Then there was Lasantha Vikramatunga, who was Mrs. Bandaranaike's private secretary at that time. And also another boy who was killed by the police brutally during the JVP problems. When these 2 juniors came to me tearfully and told me, "Sir, you got to do something," I rushed to HL De Silva, who was the president. Then I knew the HL's effectiveness is not so great as Hemantha's. Hemantha and I were no friends, but he didn't know me. But when I went, he said, "Gomin, I know you. I'll do everything for your junior." And it was an amazing job. He didn't spare a... Now remember, Faraz, he and Vijay Rajapaksa, their political remained totally at variance, but that didn't matter to him. Here was a lawyer killed. His interest was in lawyers. He didn't care 2 hoots about what your politics were. If a lawyer was endangered, there was Hemantha Warnakulasuriya striding. That is the kind of people we are going to miss, and that is why I say it's a great loss. A voice has been stilled. A passion has been completely no longer in existence.
Indeed.
So that is my real tragedy in this.
I just want to share with you how...
How did you get to know him?
Yes, our paths crossed way back in the early parts of 2000. We had a Prime Minister by the name of Ranil Wickremesinghe, and a group of friends, Hemantha included, went on a little trip to Trincomalee, and we were had managed to get a booking at within China Bay, and of course the race was on to see who would get there first, because they only had one air-conditioned room. Hemantha, who was not part of any political activity, went and got there first. He got the best room, and his friend Kongage had the other, and Freeman and I had another room. And anyway, in the early hours of the morning, I decided to wake Mr. Warnakulasuriya up, because we had a most interesting chat about politics and corruption and so on, and the media. And I don't think he was too pleased, but you know, I hauled him out of his room, and I sat him down, and we were facing China Bay, and this absolutely gorgeous sight of the bay and the exit, and then the Prima place on the right-hand side. And I said, "Do look." And he said, "What am I looking for?" I said, "Hemantha, this is what the politicians in Colombo are planning to give away. This is what they're giving away." And he got the point immediately. And he then proceeded to wake the others up and tell them to all go and have a look. And that was Hemantha, and that was his, to me, it brought home to me his patriotism. And
that developed a relationship which has lasted till his death.
Indeed. And an absolutely meticulous man who, like you say, he had the passion and he had the knowledge to take national issues right to the very borders of good, robust, democratic debate.
An unforgettable man, a dynamic man.
Absolutely. And of course his other passion was cricket, which brings me in nicely to what else we want to talk about this morning. But we do have a short break. Don't go away. After all, this is Newsline. And welcome back to Newsline. And we're in conversation with that absolute legal expert, Mr. Gomin Faraz, and we're also marking and celebrating the life and times of the late President's Council, Hemantha Warnakulasuriya. Now then, who also had a great passion for cricket. And so my question to you anyway, today, this morning, is cricket. What's going on now?
Now, you remember I came a few days ago and told you the episodes that took place in West Indies where I was on my own.
Yes.
Now, thereafter I returned to Sri Lanka, and 2 days ago I had another call from Faiza Mustafa, the minister, and he was very apologetic. He said, I think there was some mishandling or there was some kind of disturbances, that's why we are at loggerheads. Then he asked me, can you appear? I said, I now remember, Faraz, I'm not interested in myself, I'm interested in cricket.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I will appear, but provided 3 conditions are there, because prior to that, I had a lot of warnings from friends and from my juniors that Pfizer is trying to get me involved in the exercise and will sideline me at the relevant time, but to be careful of Pfizer. Now, I had no disturbances with Pfizer because he and I have worked together. I know Pfizer is a nice boy. He comes from a good family. He's son of Faiz Mustafa. So I knew him and I treated him with great respect. So I said, Pfizer, I'll do it, but you asked your secretary to ring me, and then very soon I had, I think Anasli Silva rang me and I told him the conditions. I said 3 conditions are there. One is, I said the counsel who ruined the case, who got me out of the whole thing, is back in saddle. He can't be there because that's what he said, that some Chandaka, Jayasundar or somebody was there. And I said he has to go out because I have to turn the case right round.
Yeah.
Then he said there was another guy, young boy, another president's counsel, and he said he's there. I said no, he can appear, there's no difficulty. Then he said there are some juniors of his, he mentioned 1 or 2 names. I said they also can appear, juniors, but I said my team, I said I'm bringing 2 people from my team and they like me will not be charging fees. That's our principle, policy. Because we do it for the reason that we want to make cricket an acceptable sport, which is now considered the only sport where we have achieved some kind of glory. So I want to give it its rightful place. So while this was going on, he said, right, I'll contact you tomorrow morning by 8:30. I have to meet the competent authority who's in charge of the subject. Well, he telephoned me not 8:30, at about 9:30, 10, and he said, look, Mr. Asri, you have to give your submissions in 4 hours. Now, I haven't got the brief. I had not been retained. So I told him, isn't that rather a hard task? He also seemed to agree. Then I asked him, now tell me, I want to know one thing for sure. I said, there are 3 conditions I need. I told you, second condition is that I must meet Guru Singh, Hathur Singh and Chandimal, because you see, Chandimal had number of things in his pocket. Now, did he say at the inquiry whether pitch of that he put into his mouth, or he did not know what he put into his mouth? But in his pocket were several things like nuts, there was almonds, there were several things, sweets. Now, he should have said that. But he then honestly said he'll check it up and let me know, and he checked up and said no, he has not said it. So apparently the whole problem was, if there was a lawyer like I who was beside him or somebody else, anyone who was there, would have guided Chandimal to say the right thing. Now the poor boy looks stupid. And people are blaming him for saying the wrong thing. And
is there a bit of a language challenge as well?
Undoubtedly, yes, a language challenge, very much so. Because Chandimal being an Anandian, I'm an Anandian myself. Their English is not too sound, and it's like mine. And so what happened was, Chandimal, I would have got to give a translation in Sinhala and given a single affidavit so that he was cross-examined in Sinhala and would have translated immediately, because I'm quite competent in both languages, more than Chandimal at least. So for us, what happened was then, I mean, would you ever think of retaining a lawyer, keeping the 2 earlier lawyers? One is one of Mahinda Rajapaksa's political lawyers, and the other is this lawyer who has ruined the whole case.
So this complete soup is made up, and the architect and the cook, or the executive chef of the soup is none other than Faiza Mustafa.
I'm sorry to say that Faiza has really let himself very badly down, because every topic he has handled has not been too well, and I think the Prime Minister or the President should remove him from cricket, because he's going to lose the constituency, and the government is also going to lose very badly if Faiza remains, because everyone is asking me, why the hell did you appear when you were there? So I can't say that it was Guru Singh who told me that I'm not necessary. You must remember, people like Guru Singh have done their service to a country. They have served the cricket well, but at the same time he's not a pin-up boy, he's not a bright lad. He didn't know that he could be guided by a lawyer. I mean, he didn't have retained me. He could have asked me, now how do I do?
Look, Mr. Dasi, I know we're talking about balls and grounds and fixing and whatever. End of the day, don't we need an interim committee?
We need an interim committee, but
committed to do what? They should be changing the constitution. They should change the sports law. There is no way that a few families have the virtual right, and that has been brought about by the existing constitution and the sports law, which has been tailor-made to suit the purposes of a limited number of families, and they are the Ranatungas, the Dharmadases, Silanga Sumitpal and his acolytes, and so on. Why there are many people. I'm told that several past presidents and so on of Sri Lanka cricket have refused to meet, and certainly past players, because they feel that it's merely an exercise in wasting time, an exercise in procrastination which they don't want to be part of.
You're quite right, because cricket is very much taking the flavor of politics. I mean, it's a few families that dominate the show. So I think what we need is not only sports law, but even the bylaws relating to cricket should be redrawn, and it should be done by some competent people. I mean, don't leave it in the hands of Faisal Mustafa. He's incapable of doing anything sensible. He's a nice boy, but a little silly, and much more than that, I don't know what he's doing, because he doesn't seem to have any plan whatsoever. But I think the sports law should be changed, because you must bring the best of sportsmen. And in a sense, that is what Chandrika Kumartunga, with all her misgivings, did. I mean, she brought in very good people. She brought in people like Michael Tissera. I mean, they are very able. Michael Soisa. They are very able people. They are and genuinely interested in cricket. Mahinda Vijayasinghe.
Also, the sad part is that there are people in the background who have a vat of expertise and knowledge, and have no agenda other than the betterment of the game for Sri Lanka, and have used their whatever let's say influences and their passion to guide Sri Lanka towards test status and
very
so on.
much so, and you need good businessmen. You need, I think, Riensi Vichitraka did very well. I think also your boss Raja Mahendran did a wonderful job when he was during Lalit Kamji Nayaka's time. Then there's Hemantha, bring them all in, but no one will want to put their finger into cricket as long as you have people like Faisal Mustafa at the helm, because Faisal, who runs the show, he's competent authority, and the only thing I've seen so far of that competent authority is that when he was taking his votes or something, his beloveds were all there, and that was photographed. That is not the important thing. The man must stay on a side. I mean, he's secretary. I know my father was secretary himself, so I know how secretaries work. My father was Defence and External Affairs. Those days they were entitled to take any decisions, and they took very heavy decisions. Today, public servants
so we really need
and of the then minister, and that's a very, very sad state of affairs.
So we really do need a committee that knows what they're doing.
More than that, actually, not an interim committee with stooges or the handpicked people of Faisal Mustafa, because Faisal Mustafa now gets his juniors into the case, and probably I don't know whether they are paid or not. That's irrelevant. But certainly there are people who are offering to do it.
From my perspective, it is very relevant, because the amount of monies that are taken out of the public purse in various forms and shapes is absolutely astonishing. The amounts of money spent on legal fees trying to defend the indefensible is actually quite atrocious. But now one other matter before we close is what do you think of this fuel business? Now, what about this? They're saying it's going to change weekly, fortnightly, monthly. What's going on?
It's the present stories that it's going to be changed, varied every month. Now, I think also the president says he has not been kept informed. Now, I think a lot of things the president is not being kept informed, because a lot of things are being done by public servants with the Prime Minister and the rest of the UNP team. So,
but as Hemantha Warnakulasuriya reminded us in that clip that we saw earlier, after the 19th Amendment, the powers of the President have been fully curtailed.
Either the power of president must be enhanced. It's not the whole, but the office of president must be. You see, I won the case really getting all the land to the center because the president was then strong under the Judge Awarden's constitution. Now he's feeble, but still, fortunately, that particular provision still stands. But the fact of the matter is, I think, if you change fuel prices monthly, it's good if it can be brought down. But what is it? How is the government going to face the people if each month at the end of it, it's going to be raised further? And the thing is, when prices are raised, it remains raised. But when prices come down, will the prices...
Will they come down? And that is the billion-dollar question.
That's a very important question, because what happens is, we see prices of fuel coming down, but other things stand as it is. So the people don't get the benefit, no one is bothered about it, because the ministers are well looked after, the people in power have free cars, free fuel. So they are not bothered, it's the poor people, it's the middle class that is burst hit on this crisis.
And what can the people do? Can we just twiddle our thumbs and wait? Because wait for the next, well, we'll have to have a presidential poll, but what about the provincial polls and all that? Isn't it too late?
I think elections the only election that will be held will be general and the presidential, and I think there's no question the results are already known. But I'll tell you something, this is not my saying, this is a young journalist told me this, because I have a lot of respect for journalists. They are very brave men, and they said, you will hear of Hemantha Rajapaksa for 3 years more. I tell you, Hemantha Rajapaksa will come into office, but whether he can deliver anything, what is effectiveness, I think will be just 3 years of publicity of what people expect him to do. People are silly, but people can be very strong when they are beaten up and put against the wall. I think there will be another uprising in the next 5 years if people are not changed at the top. Like in cricket, people at the top should be changed. If necessary, change the constitution to that extent that is necessary to do that. And let's get the country moving forward.
It's the sort of thing that Hemantha Warnakulasuriya would be applauding, what you've just said.
Hemantha Warnakulasuriya, wherever he goes, he will applaud from there. If he could, he will send a beam and say, let this be done. And because he was a bold, brave man, he could speak his mind out when others were silent. And he could make, he'd give him any topic, he'll make it controversial. If not his mere presence is so dynamic, so he would make it very lively the moment he steps on before the media.
Well, to my very own Billy Bunter, as I fondly referred to him as, and he took it in his good stride, we shall miss you. Newsline has lost an avid fan, an inspiring admirer, and a great promoter of what we do here on this program. And for all his help and for all his advice and his counsel, we are forever grateful. And we will all, Chairman, the Board of Directors, the group, Capital Maharaja Group, will miss him, as indeed we all will, all his friends, his family, and our thoughts are with them. Gomin Faraz, thank you very much for making this a tribute to Hemantha.
I'm glad to be a small part of it. Thank you, Faisal.
Thank you very much, Gomin Faraz, for being on Newsline. And that's the way it was on Newsline on the 12th of July 2018, Thursday. Take care. God bless.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.